tested, investigated, and grounded for the foreseeable future.
You do something, or did something happen?
Some lady drove a bike into the side of my garbage truck. talking like 20, 30. I guess that'd be cool.
Now, feeding takes all of 5 minutes. But walking, I gotta take her out to the side, let her do her thing.
Yeah, that's fine.
I have no idea.
Everybody got their Audacity or whatever up?
Yep.
Trophy Horse.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Trophy Wars. This is episode 597. I'm your host, Tricky Mick, alongside with me, the man, the myth, the legend. It's Alex.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready. It's time to start looking for those ugly Christmas sweaters.
It's not even Thanksgiving yet.
Look, everyone looks forward to Halloween. Everyone looks forward to and preps for Christmas. Everyone just kind of like goes through the motions on Thanksgiving and needs, but like it happens in the moment, and then once it's done, it's done.
He brings the awesome. He's also another man that likes to put up his Christmas tree early. I yield to no one.
Nope. You're wrong.
Oh, no, it's your brother.
Yes.
Sorry, I confused the Huddlestons. Oop,
Oh.
government name. Sorry.
Wow.
Edit mark 1 minute 52 seconds.
I only got close to our record.
Well, to be fair, your brother does display his name, so I'm sure people can put two and two together.
That's his choice.
Yes. Yield, no Christmas trees, but how are you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm here.
And he's the man that keeps the fires burning in the embers. It's Matt.
You know, I actually found a site, Alex, called Anime Ape that has a whole bunch of gaming-related ugly sweaters, and I found a Monster Hunter one, so I think I know what I'm picking up this year.
Yeah, I saw a few Power Rangers ones. Dragon Zord one, which if you don't know by now, I love the Dragon Zord. Dragon Zord's fucking amazing. But I also saw one where instead of the Lord has come, it says the Zord has come, and it's the Megazord posing with the sword. And I'm like, man, I don't have any ugly Christmas sweaters, but I'm about to spend the money on one this year. I'll tell you that much. You know, that's what you should do. Instead of reinvesting in PSN Plus, just go buy an ugly Christmas sweater. You'll be happier.
That's not cool.
What do you mean what's not cool?
That's not cool. Ugly sweaters are not that good.
You can have so much fun in them. What are you going to do on PSN? Look around for a game to not play?
You know what? I was gonna.
Tricky had no retort to that one.
No, because I was gonna be nice and play this for you. Oh, hit the wrong button. Hold on. Oh, now I gotta watch an ad. Damn it.
Or you could say Sony's PlayStation 5 launch titles. Or not launch titles, but release titles.
That's one of the things that, one of the many aspects that I enjoy about Matt giving us the cliff notes on the articles is you can just read his cliff notes and an article or an ad will not pop up while Tricky's trying to read the article, completely confounding and confusing and befuddling him to the point where he has to stop the show dead in its tracks because he can't deal with an ad.
All right, Alex here. That's your
From
ring.
the sea, everyone look. It's coming.
That's your ringtone when you call me.
Yeah, I know. It's the Dragon Zord flute call. And unfortunately, with, Tommy Oliver gone, we may never hear it ever again. Except in our hearts.
Put some respect on his name. It's Jason David Frank.
You just mispronounced his name.
Jason David Frank.
There you go.
That's what I said.
Tommy Oliver is the greatest Power Ranger to ever live, and I won't hear any nonsense otherwise.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying put respect on the name. Oh.
How is that being disrespectful?
I don't know.
You just want to argue. You just want to argue.
I just want to argue. All right. Well, you know what? I'm going to step away from the argument because my groceries just got delivered. So I have to go put those away. So
That's why we're recording.
No. I scheduled this from between 3 and 5. It's now 7:10. Okay? They're 2 hours late.
Okay, so they're like, all right, I'll give you a buy then.
This ain't on me. So while we're doing this, why don't you guys take over the show for a second and tell us what we're playing? We'll start with Matt.
I guess trophy counts don't fucking matter.
I guess not.
Okay.
We've only done 597.
Well, no. I was gonna do it in reverse. Since I got frozen stuff, I can't go through a trophy count. I'm doing it in reverse. I'm pulling.
Take care of your food. Jesus
Thank you.
Christ.
I hate you all.
How much supervision does a microwave pizza need?
Gotta make it all the way from the box into the freezer.
I'm sorry, the Red Baron doesn't require that much effort. Come on.
I'm actually happy you said Red Baron because that's the exact type of pizza we get.
If you're going to call an audible, you got to give a signal to the rest of the team so that way they know not to run with the normal play.
I don't know. The audibles, I mean, if his audibles are as good as the Rangers' audibles, that's not going to be a good season.
Zing.
I know. Hockey doesn't have audibles, so somebody's going to give me shit about that. I'm not a sports person, folks.
I don't care. It was funny anyway. I liked it.
Mainly because it was a zinger on the Rangers.
Yeah, it was a zinger on the Rangers. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So on the website that I'm using, I saw those two exact wet sweaters, Alex. The Dragon Zord and what is it? What did it say?
The Zord has come.
Yeah, Joy to the World. The Zord has come. They also have each of the original Rangers colors. They have a full team sweater. They have the original Insignia Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. They've got a very Christmassy one that's all red and blue with all the different masks. But like I said, I'm probably going to be getting the Monster Hunter one. They're about $54 a piece.
Yeah, which I mean, well, I didn't look at the shipping either, but I mean, $54. I mean, licensing, hoodies, warm weather gear or cold weather gear is usually a bit pricey. So, but for once a year, and maybe something I could wear to work and bring joy to the hearts and minds to all of my customers at work, $54 is a small price to pay.
They've also got a bunch of other theme ones. They have an anime one from Full Metal Alchemist that I don't want to talk about for fear of, depressing everybody who knows on that show. Anyways. So should I go into what I've been playing so that way Tricky can do his... Oh, he's back. Okay.
Yeah, well...
He's back, so no.
No. I got an email or text message saying it was delivered. And then immediately after that, I got a message saying I marked delivered, but I'm still 10 minutes away from the driver.
That's because he wanted to make sure he marked delivered. He was just shy of some delivery quota that he didn't want to lose out on. So
I will have to take off again. What did I miss?
Let's do trophies then.
I am level 800, trophy level 896 with total trophies of 29,493. With 819 platinums, I got 2 this week. One we could talk about, one we don't have to talk about. Alex?
I am level 498 with a total trophy count of 9,531 and a platinum count of 163 in 162 games.
Yield?
Newly minted 503 with a trophy count of 9864 and a new platinum total of 177.
Yeah, I saw your platinum. We'll get into that, what we're playing. It's an impressive platinum. One I'm a little jealous of. Matt?
To steal Yield's term, newly minted 219. That's right, folks. I finally went up one level.
Wow.
1,289 trophies, still on 0 plats.
Okay, so before we reset trophies, I'm going to say, Matt, the Spider-Man 2 Platinum is very doable.
Yeah, I asked the question. You never answered.
It is very doable.
Did you even enjoy the game with how fast you platted that?
Well, okay, to be fair, it took me 4 days to do it. But a majority of that time was on Extra Life. So I did play Spider-Man 2 for like 14 hours on Extra Life, so that did take up a good chunk of the story. But yeah, it's very doable, and I'd be happy to see you get it. Be your first platinum.
Yeah, probably won't.
But I'm gonna call Tross out in a minute though. But Sid is level 817 with total trophies of 25,953 with 817 platinums. All right. So did anybody talk about what they're playing, or were you guys just BSing while I was gone?
We talked about ugly Christmas sweaters.
Oh.
So we weren't BSing. We were talking very important business.
Okay, so before we get into what we're playing, I'm calling Tross out because Tross has been trying his best to get me to play Alan Wake 2. Trying his best. To the point where he was almost willing to game share with me, which would have made me have to not game share with Sid for a while. But he decided not to because he said he got to a certain point in the game, Alex, that he wants to talk to somebody about, and I was going to suggest you, but I don't know if you've gotten that far, because he said it is the best moment in gaming ever.
I don't. Well, I would have to have some clues as to. I'm decently far into the game, but I'm not like towards the end or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, we obviously don't want to have spoilers on the show, but I would have to know obviously what he was talking about to be able to.
Well, that's why I didn't tell him to contact you because I didn't want him to spoil it for you. Also, he tells me he's the biggest Spider-Man fan and that Spider-Man 2 is the best superhero game of all time. and he was very proud of his platinum. And I'm just going to call him out for a second, saying, if you're a big Spider-Man fan, why don't you have the platinum in any of the other games? Because I do. I have a platinum in every Spider-Man game ever released for the 4 or the 5.
So 3?
4. 5. 5 platinums.
Oh, are you counting the remastered and...
Yeah, the Spider-Man 4.
So 3.
No, 4 of them.
3.
Actually, 5 platinums.
I do not recognize playing the same exact game twice, even if Sony does.
Well, too bad you're not on the Trophy Council, because we've already ruled on this.
We have.
Yes, it's part of the Bill of Rights that we never ratified.
Oh, well, then it's not real.
Do you have a charter?
Yes, we have a charter. We have a charter. We have
I did not see that document in my onboarding packet.
It's actually in the Dropbox, so you could go look at it anytime, sir. It's under Word documents. I know you have access to it, so.
I feel like the transparency on this group has not been the best.
Well, to be fair, we kind of have to update the Bill of Rights now because some of the terminology and wording is probably a little outdated, considering the way gaming has shifted. But yeah, I'm calling Tross out. Tross, if you're a real Spider-Man fan, you'd go get the platinum in all the games, not just the latest one. He's gonna hate me when he sees this or when he hears this. All right, so let's get into what we're playing. Matt, I was gonna start with you. I'm still gonna start with you. What have you been playing, sir?
Spider-Man 2, obviously. I've been taking my sweet time with that game. I am really enjoying how much it expands on what the first did. I don't want to Google it because I don't want to know, but I am wondering what the level cap is because I have been earning skill points left and right, and I think I'm 1 skill away from maxing out the joint Spider-Man tree, which is fun. So, yeah, last I checked, I'm about 60% through the game, at least from the story campaign perspective. So I'll probably finish that up in the next 3 weeks, I think.
Do you want to know what the level cap is?
No, I'll experience it.
Okay.
Then I also bought 2 games on my VR headset, one of which is a game called Ziggy's Not So Cosmic Adventure. You play a bounty hunter who gets a ship, and you're basically fighting back against the Empire. And to do so, you have to manage your ship, and everything on the ship has a battery that you need to maintain. And as you use it, whether it's life support, guns, shields, everything, you have to put in a fresh battery. And you can charge the batteries, and you do that by charging this little glob thing called Ziggy. And you put him in this machine, you put the battery in, and it sucks the life force out of the Ziggy and puts it in the battery. If you don't feed Ziggy, he could die. And if he dies, you have to eject him from your ship. Otherwise, it poisons the entire atmosphere. So the fun part is as you're flying about, stuff starts breaking or getting depowered. So you have to turn around, manage batteries, flip switches, turn stuff on and off. Because if you're not active in battle, you don't want your shields draining. So you flip that off to make sure that you maintain that battery. And it involves using all of the typical things that a VR game does. You have full 360-degree field, and then you press the button to eject the battery, put it in the charging station, put a fresh one in, and it's a neat little game. It was $20. They say it's about 5 to 6 hours to complete from a full run perspective, and you can go back for multiple runs because you could take different paths through different planetary alignments based on how you perform at each level. Like there was one thing I had to do where I had to destroy a ship before it got away. Otherwise, it would warn the Empire I was coming. Well, I didn't do that. So it limited the options of where I could jump to for my next spaceport. And it's a fun little game. And then I was also playing Power Washing Simulator VR, which just released recently, just to see what it's like. You know, I played a little bit of it on the PC, and it's a lot of fun. But the nice thing, I was talking with V today, is in the actual game, you can turn the nozzle to make your power washing nozzle go horizontal or vertical. And in the main flat screen game, that's a button. And you just press a button and it turns the nozzle. But the nice thing about it in VR is, as opposed to having to press a button, all you do is you just literally turn your hand and you swipe the way you need to swipe. So haven't played a lot of that, but it's a neat little way to play the game, a different angle to view it, and it's just been a lot of fun. And there's co-op in it, which is fun, because if you have somebody else who has it, you can actually go in and do cleaning together. I know, I think Styling on Your Bro from the community is big into simulator games, so might be something that he's interested in. Other than that, that's basically what I've been playing. Alex, I think you are next.
Yeah, so pretty much just more of Alan Wake 2 for me. And anyone who played, the remaster when it was released a couple years ago and is kind of like didn't like the controls. I mean, even I, who played the game originally, was not a huge fan of the controls. It's kind of clunky. This game was obviously developed with current generation in mind, so the controls are a lot better. Like I like the controls quite a bit. If you had issues with the ones previously playing Alan Wake, try this game, because the controls aren't an issue. They're modern day. They feel nice. They're reactive. They're responsive. So that is a big improvement over the Alan Wake remaster itself. And I don't know if I'm going to catch shit for this. I have been enjoying the game, but I will say that gameplay-wise, I have a lot of respect for Remedy, because their gameplay is always pretty rock solid. No complaints on that front, but when it comes to their stories, I think they dive a little too deep. I don't know if it's just me, but the sprawl of those stories, like, it feels like it's far more complicated than it actually needs to be. Control, I hated the story in Control. I thought it was terrible. I thought it was convoluted. I thought it was hard to follow. I thought it was just way overdone. And then the game ended with a flat thud. Alan Wake 2 doesn't have quite the same issue. The story is easier to follow, and it's not quite as bad as Control was, but I still feel like it's more convoluted than it needs to be. And I'm not even just talking about like finding the manuscript pages and reading everything. I'm talking about like just taking in all the story, talking to characters and all that. It feels like they kind of go around in more circles than they need to get to where they're actually trying to go. So that is one of my big things against Remedy, is when it comes to storytelling, they're always a little bit more pretentious than I would like them to be. I kind of want them to get to where they're going faster. But again, it's their story, so they can. I'm here for the ride, but I do wish, there are some times when I'm playing, it's like I'm ready to be done playing the game. It's just like I want to finish this fucking chapter, and it just goes on and on. I'm like, oh my god, come on. But like I said, gameplay overall is rock solid. I do think that, I talked about last week how the shooting the guns feels like it has weight to it, because it, the enemies fly back, they flip over, not like ragdoll style, but like you can see the force of the gun in the way the enemies react. And like, there's not this game being a lot about puzzle solving and not quite so much about combat. Don't get me wrong, there's quite a bit of combat, but you aren't just always running through the woods, constantly encountered by the Taken. The combat scenarios feel a little bit more judicious, so when you do fight something, it's not it feels a little bit more impactful or meaningful, if that makes any sense. There's not as many enemies, it seems, in this game, but the enemies feel more impactful because they are more difficult to take down, and just when you fight something, it's more meaningful. Specifically, I mean, there are boss fights in the game. They do also feel more impactful. There's a little bit more presentation to them, a little more flair to them, and just kind of seeing where story-wise. One of the things that I will say about the story is Seeing how some of the characters in the first game, how they ended up in this game, gets a little dark. Not obviously with a horror story that we're in here, not always a happy ending. But it is nice to see like 13 years later, characters carried over and seeing their stories continued. Even like I said, even though they don't always have a happy ending. But despite my issues with Remedy's storytelling being a little bit overboard, I do think that Alan Wake 2 is a very good game. It's an improvement on the first game. Like I said, you've got a lot more investigation mechanics because you are playing as an FBI agent. It is actually more fun for me to play as Saga Anderson than it is to play as Alan Wake. Not saying Alan's not fun to play as, but Saga's a little bit... her story thus far for me is a little bit more fleshed out. I'd say I'm probably halfway, a little more through the game. It feels like her what you're going through with her is more fleshed out than Alan Wake's is. So I'm enjoying her part of the story a little bit more, having more fun playing as her. But I mean, overall, a good game, a great way to build on the first Alan Wake. And yeah, I don't really have much else I can say there. Is it a Game of the Year contender for me? Again, I don't know. At some points, I'm playing the game and I feel like I should like the game more than I do. Again, I enjoy playing the game, but I feel like I'm not as head over heels for the game as everybody else is. Now, if you're interested in it, do I recommend playing it? Absolutely. I think Tricky should give it a second shot, give Alan Wake a second shot by playing this game because it's more to a modern play style to where I don't think he'll be as aggravated playing the game. I think he'll enjoy this one a lot more. But last thing, trophy list, pretty easy trophy list. I think Power PYX says it a 2 out of 10, mostly progression through the story, collectibles, and then a few combat-related trophies, but there's no difficulty trophies, no speed runs, no nothing like that. So while there are a few missable trophies, heads up, there's no chapter select after you beat the game. So before the point of no return, make sure you have a save file in the cloud because, like I said, the game is a little bit more open than last time, so you can return to previous areas to clean up some collectibles. But once you finish the game, there's no chapter select. So if you missed anything, you got to start all over again. But that being said, collectible-wise, you don't have to collect every collectible. You don't have some of them. You have to collect all of them. Most of them you do not. Sometimes it's just collect one collectible and you get a trophy. So that's all you got to do. So overall, trophy list isn't bad. Not a difficult game to platinum, but the story is longer than I thought it would be. Like I'm, been playing it here for a couple weeks now, and I'm maybe halfway through the game, playing a little bit every day. So you'll definitely get your money's worth out of Alan Wake. There's a lot of meat on these bones, but yeah, I'm sure I'll have even more to say next week as I get further in the game. Hopefully by next week I'll have beaten the game, but you never know. There's a lot to it. So.
All right, I'm back. Just so everybody knows, Yield. What have you been playing, sir?
Oh, let's see here. Borderlands, the pre-sequel, Deep Rock Galactic, Far Changing Tides, and Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, which was my latest platinum.
That's impressive, sir, because that's one that I wanted to get, and I was unable to get.
Oh, you just have to be as good as me to get it.
Oh, jeez Louise.
What made the platinum trophy so difficult, Triggy?
I don't remember. I just remember I got frustrated. I think it was
probably the legendary ships.
Yeah, I think it was the legendary ships. I just I put it down, said I'll come back to it, and just never did.
I have to say I had 2 left. I went through when I finished my 100% of the memory sequence. I wanted my platinum trophy to be my last trophy, so I went and played Freedom Cry, which I'm glad I paid $5 for the season pass because that really wasn't worth a paid DLC. Finished that. I had 2 legendary ships to take out. I had to look up a tip on how to beat the 2 legendary ships you fight at the same time, because I could take out one, and then the second one would just mop the floor with me because it changes its tactic, and I couldn't get it adjusted to where it would just be all over me.
So I'm
like, all right, I'm doing something wrong. I need a tip. So I looked up and I'm like, oh, I didn't even think of trying it that way. And the first time I tried it, I got it. So.
See, I think I got frustrated, and I if I remember correctly, because it's probably been a year or so, probably longer. I thought I just needed to upgrade my ship more.
Oh, my ship was maxed out.
Well, yeah, I'm sure yours was, but I'm just saying, I think that's what I was like, I just can't do this because my ship's not powerful enough.
Because I tried it, needless to say, when I ran across them, I tried to take them on during the game. And during the game, I was only able to take out 2 of them.
Right.
And then the other 2 would just mop the floor with me. I didn't even stand a chance. So I was like, all right, well, we'll just come back at this later when I've got my ship maxed out. And I did. And they were still mopping the floor with me.
So is there 3 different encounters, or is there 4 encounters, just a total of 5 ships?
4 encounters, 5 ships.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right. And I have been playing. Obviously, I got the platinum in Spider-Man 2. Enjoyed that. Good game. Not the best superhero game of all time. Just gonna say. I think it's a Game of the Year contender, but I don't think it's going to win Game of the Year. I don't think it has a shot. To me, it was more like Spider-Man 1.5. Just a continuation.
What? Everybody was so excited for this.
It's not a bad game in any way, shape, or form. I'm not saying that at all. It's a quality game. You should definitely go play it. I'm not trying to poo-poo it all. I'm just saying, to me, and this is just because we talked about this on the show, I don't think it lived up to the hype everybody was giving it.
See, and you guys thought I was crazy when I sat there and went,
No, it's worth playing, Yield. I'm not saying like.
No. I didn't say I wouldn't play it, but when we were all talking about this when it was leading up, and they're like, "What's your opinion?" I'm like, the trailer did nothing for me. It didn't get me excited, and you're all like, "What?" I'm like, "No, it didn't do." So I feel a little like I won.
You feel validated?
I feel validated because you're like, it's like 1.5, and I'm like, see, I said it didn't do nothing to get me excited. So
listen, the problem.
Not once did I ever say I thought it was a bad game.
Right.
Like I didn't see anything that made me go. I was excited. Nothing in the trailers that I saw made me as excited for that one as it did the first one, and Miles Morales.
Like I said, I want to be clear. I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying it's a bad game. It is definitely a must play.
I didn't take it as that.
No, I'm trying to be clear with the listeners because George Smith, I think, asked me on Facebook. He goes, "What did I think?" And I said I was going to give my opinion on the show. It's not. There's nothing really wrong with it. I mean, I have some story issues with it that I've talked over with Tross, and Tross says he wants to do a Patreon episode, do a spoiler cast. But I'm thinking we might wait until Matt's done with the game before we get involved in that. Because I think right now the only 2 people I know that beat it are me and Tross. I saw a comment from Rick saying he wasn't having too much fun with it. And he said the flying can fuck off. I think the flying is one of the best parts of the game. It didn't live up to the hype to what I had in my head, and that could be different from everybody else. But as Tross says to me, he goes, "Well, you got to be a real Spider-Man fan to get a lot of the lore," and I get that, but I think like I told Tross to his face, it's like I think you're looking at it with beer goggles on. Like, you're such a fan that you're gonna love this, and you're overlooking the issues. Now, I will say, if you are a comic book fan, which admittedly I'm not a Spider-Man comic book fan, but from what I know of Spider-Man, Insomniac took some liberties. They, even from the first game, they said they're going to tell their own story. This is not going to link into any particular comic book, movie, or anything. They're telling their own story. And I get that. And yeah, they definitely went that way. But some things that they did in this game, I think, are just way too off the mark. And I can't get into it until we get, into the spoiler cast, because I don't want to spoil the game. And I don't know how.
All for that, because oh man, you got me cracking my knuckles over here.
I see, and I don't know how far Matt is, so to even try to give him a clue of what I'm talking about. might be a spoiler, so I'm not even gonna go down that path. I started Metal Gear 1 today, not Solid 1 from the original NES.
OG Metal Gear.
I did start that today, but I'm finding out that this actually isn't the Metal Gear from the NES. This is the MSX version, which I think was a totally different version, the Japanese version. I don't know enough about it to say yes or no. But I'm starting to play that. It looks like it's only like a 2-hour game, so I might be able to do that on stream. So that'd be cool. Just played a little bit of Metal Gear Solid 2. The other platinum I got is called Dodge These Balls, which is a game that Sid got for me and sent to my console. So I played that. Got that platinum in, I think, like 20 minutes. It's not as easy as you think it is. I'll tell you that. And yeah, that's all I've been playing.
I'm sure those 20-minute platinums are such a strain.
Dude. Yield, the game is like $1, I think. I guarantee you paid that $1 and played that game, you come back to me and go, Tricky, I know what you're saying. Like, I'm sorry for mocking you for this.
I'm not knocking you in the sense of your difficulty.
No.
I was just like, wow, a 20-minute platinum.
Okay.
So you were expecting a 5-minute platinum and it took you 20.
No. See, okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I'll just tell you what the game is. The game is basically you're a red ball, right?
Okay.
And it starts off with
You have to dodge the blue balls.
well, they're gray, but there are 3 gray balls on the screen, and they go around, like one starts moving around, and as they knock together, like they go off in different directions, and you basically have to survive until there's 10 gray balls on the screen. And it gets increasingly difficult because one ball may be moving like 1 mile an hour, another ball may be moving like 3 miles an hour, and the next ball might be moving at like 10 miles an hour, which doesn't sound like a lot, but then when it ricochets and sends that 5 mile an hour ball flying in a different direction, it gets very frustrating. It sounds simple enough, but trust me, you could be pulling your hair out if you had hair, which me and Matt don't have. So, and then you have to fail 15 times, which I'm proud to say I only failed 5 times before I got before I got the 10 balls. Then I just had to die 10 more times. I'm proud to say it didn't take me as long as I thought it was going to, but it did take me a little longer. But yeah, good game. I just don't have the chat up, so. Yeah. Dupe says, am I sure that I have all the Spider-Man plats on the 4 and the 5? Yes, I have the one on the 4, I have the Spider-Man on the 4, Spider-Man Remastered on the 5, I have the Miles Morales on the 4 and the 5, and now I have Spider-Man 2. And there's no PS4 version of Spider-Man 2, so I have all 5 platinums. So yes.
What about oh, no, nothing. Never mind.
What were you gonna say?
I answered my own question before I asked it.
Okay. Do you want to say the question? So,
No.
Okay. My Amazing Spider-Man 2. That wasn't on the 4 or the 5. Was this Amazing Spider-Man 2 on the 4? Did they re-release it? I think Matt's looking it up. Dupe saying it was on the 4.
It was on the 4.
Okay, so I have all the Insomniac Spider-Man platinums. How about that?
There you go.
Because I think that one was made by what, Neversoft?
It was probably an Activision game.
Activision, Beanox.
Beanox. And I have good news for you, Alex and Yield. My goal horn doesn't seem to be working.
Oh,
No, that's just
a
the Rangers
bummer.
can't score a goal.
And also good news for you, Yield. I know you're not a hockey fan, but if you were a hockey fan, you'd be a Blue Jackets fan, and they are currently winning 1-0.
Oh, that's good.
So, but the Rangers have the best record in the NHL right now, so I don't give a shit.
Well, I don't give a shit. They have the best record in the NHL.
Dude says Amazing Spider-Man 2 was awful. All right. let's get into our agenda. We have some topics to cover today. First, PlayStation is losing its X integration next week. This is coming from IGN and written by George Yang. Next time you boot up your console, a message will pop up telling you this feature is being removed from the consoles. Sony has provided an FAQ listing other ways you can share your content. No explanation was offered by Sony as to why this change is occurring, but earlier this year, Microsoft also disabled content share due to social media platforms' API changes, leading others to speculate similar reasons. I did hear that one of the reasons why is because ever since Elon Musk took over, in order to use the API, X was charging up to $40,000 a month, and that was just for simple things. And now with a business account, I'm sure it's a hell of a lot higher, and Sony's probably trying to cut costs, and that's why they're losing the integration. I know you guys really, well, Matt, I think you don't really do social media, but I don't think I've ever seen you on X. And
That's because I don't have an X profile.
And I know Alex deleted his. Yield, you were a fan of X. Are you still using X?
It's mainly both Facebook and Twitter are mainly my news feeds.
Yeah. So, well, X is Twitter, but yes.
It's Twitter. It's not X.
He did change the name of it.
I don't care. He changed the name of it. It's Twitter.
Fair enough. But
just
you don't.
Just like I don't call Paul Brown Stadium Paycor. I don't call Three Rivers Heinz Field or wherever it's called. That's the name. I'm old school. I don't adapt.
Rangers just tied the score. It's 1-1.
Thank God we have that update.
I know I can sleep better tonight.
You know, you guys just take all my happiness away.
We do.
No, dude.
We're soul
This is
suckers.
a PlayStation podcast. It's not the New York Rangers loud ass goal horn. in
It's not
everyone's
going
ear
off. It's
podcast.
broken. I might just have to change the batteries.
I think you need to fix it.
I think I just need to buy a new one. This one's like
Maybe
10
your
years
goal
old.
horn's an Islanders fan.
Ow!
Saber wants to know, he says, bombs away. Are you going to talk about the lowest Marvel rated movie of all time? What's the lowest rated Marvel movie? Is he saying Marvel?
Probably talking about the Marvels.
Is it rated low? I heard it was doing pretty good. So
You're asking the wrong person because I haven't paid a lick of attention, even to Loki, to any Disney Marvel stuff now. I don't care.
You're missing out on Loki.
I heard Loki got really good at the end.
It was good all season.
Oh, I heard it was failing like the first couple episodes, but I haven't watched it yet, so I can't speak on it.
Really, I heard they say the ending was phenomenal.
Well, yeah, I was saying the beginning of season 2 I heard dragged on, and then towards the end it got really, really good. It's kind of interesting what they're gonna do with King now, because I don't think Jonathan Majors is coming back.
That's probably a safe bet.
Saber says 46 million. It's a failure. It was supposed to get 76. I mean, we're talking like open the weekend.
It'll make it up worldwide.
Yeah.
Well,
Says,
when you think of also like DVD sales and Blu-ray sales and subscription to Disney Plus, I mean that you can't really individualize the subscriptions to and assign those to the Marvels, but it'll be on there and people may want to watch it on there.
all right, moving on to the next thing. We have a little bit of an update from a topic we talked about last week, or was it 2 weeks ago? I'm not sure. 2 weeks ago. Warner Brothers has responded to the Mortal Kombat $10 fatality backlash with 2 free fatalities. This is coming from IGN and written by Wesley Yinpool. Players who bought the controversial $10 Halloween fatality in Mortal Kombat 1 will be getting an additional 2 free fatalities. NetherRealm was heavily criticized after they released their Halloween-themed fatality. It's rumored these fatalities will be part of a Halloween-themed bundle that is expected to be around $30. And if you're looking at if you want to know what the fatality is, it's basically you get put at a Thanksgiving table and a bunch of stuff gets shoved down your throat, and then you wind up puking. So.
Well, they could have saved them. It actually would have been better for them if they had just taken my original idea, just giving out the Halloween one for free, and now they wouldn't have to give out 2 for free.
Matt, we were talking about this pre-show. So basically, the way we read it, at least the way I read it, and I think you agree with me, is that the people that bought the $10 fatality are going to get 2 more fatalities for free, where everybody that hasn't purchased it yet are going to have to purchase the whole bundle for $30 for the bundle.
Yeah, and you said it. I agree with it. The way that article makes it sound is that it seems like that was the plan all along, is that they were going to make a trio pack fatality, and you had to, buy each one for $10. I don't know what the term is, that if you bought it or if you buy it right now before the other 2 come out, you get the other 2 for $10. It's a mess. It's another microtransaction mess that just needs to go away.
And it's also worth noting that this hasn't been officially announced. This was found by the data miner that found the fatality inside of the code. Now, how he found the data mine and then we saw the animation for it, that's got to be in the game already, so that means it's already done. They're just waiting to announce it. So that's a little shady to me in itself. That it's out there, but I
don't understand why they're giving these other 2 away for free to the early adopters when they're just pissing off everybody else who has to pay $30 for all 3 of them if they didn't buy the first one when it first came out. Like, I thought giving away them for free would be to try to, make up for anybody who's pissing them. But now there just seems like they're pissing off the people who had to pay $30 or, who don't have to pay $30, but
all right,
I don't understand what they're gaining with this.
Okay, let's break this down step by step for a second. First of all, this $30 bundle has not been announced. This Thanksgiving fatality has not been announced. It's been found by a data miner. The Warner Brothers has come out and said everybody that paid $10 for the Halloween one is getting 2 more for free. So when this gets announced, it could be that they say, pay $10, you get 3 fatalities, which breaks down to about $3.33 a fatality, which I think is more reasonable as a price, and we've said that on the show. Give a more reasonable price, you'll sell more. So I'm reporting that the bundle is $30, and that was the original plan. When it gets announced, that could be totally changed. But as I said to Matt before the show, it's like, you're going to give the people that bought that for $10 2 free fatalities, but you're going to make everybody else pay $10 each? That doesn't make sense. But
well, and one of the things that people really don't like is FOMO, the fear of missing out. And doing something like this where people who early adopt get 2 free fatalities essentially, and everybody else has to pay $30, you're increasing FOMO. And people don't like that.
I'm trying to keep up on Saber's things, but we're getting off here. Do not like the fact that they're going to make Kill the Justice League more or less a pay-to-play, a continuation game, and they're doing the same thing with Mortal Kombat in a way.
Well, the problem with Kill the Justice League, it was originally planned to be a live service game, and then when they started giving the bits and pieces out there and screenshots in the gameplay, and people saw 50 billion different types of what's the word I'm looking for?
Loot?
Not loot, no. It's the cash types or different types of
microtransactions?
Currency.
Oh, currency, yes. I'm sorry,
yeah.
Chris.
Like, there's like 5 different currencies up on screen. Everybody said, what the fuck is this? And why are there 10 different currencies? Listen, it's as we go into our topic of the week later, you'll hear more thoughts on live service games.
Saber says right with a check mark. All right. Next thing we're going to talk about is the Epic Game Store still is not profitable nearly 5 years after launch. This is coming from IGN and written by Wesley Yinpool. Despite all their money paying for exclusive release windows and V-Bucks sales, Epic has failed to turn a profit on their game store. Most recently, Epic released Alan Wake 2 on their platform as the sole way to purchase and play the game on PC. Epic continues to offer publishers and developers an 88/12 revenue split as compared to Valve's 30% cut. And yet, Valve recently smashed its record for concurrent users online with just shy of 32 million active players. Matt, I'm going to go to you first because you are more the PC person here out of everybody. Well, you're the only PC person out of all of us, I guess. I think you've said that like you're not a big fan of the Epic Game Store as well.
I keep waffling on whether I blame Epic for everything wrong with PC gaming these days, or if I should applaud them for their genius and the ability to lose money despite how successful their product is. It's no secret how much Fortnite does for them, how it has done for them. But they were taking on Valve, which has been active in the PC digital delivery platform since 2004. That's like a company trying to come up and fight against Microsoft, who's had a product that has been refined and done for decades now. The problem I've always had with Epic is that they're shoving so much money to create a console war on the PC that it's frustrating as a PC gamer. I just want a platform where all of my games I can play without having to launch 50 million launchers. And every launcher that has come along, with I think one exception, has failed horribly to take down Valve's efforts. And that platform was Good Old Games. And the reason why it's successful is because it integrates with all the other platforms, and you could launch all of your games from Good Old Games digital store. The issue with Epic is that for all their money, they have nothing to show for it. You know, I've redeemed probably 50 free games on the Epic Game Store. Except when I did the thing with Alex and what was the game, Alex? Gigabash. It's except for that, which I ended up buying and refunding, I have not spent a single cent on Epic because they launched without all the conveniences that Valve has put in place. There was no rating system. There was no dashboards or areas for people to speak games. It's like any game, any MMO that was coming in after World of Warcraft saying, well, we're doing our own thing, when all the answers are there for you are right there. They already told you what people are liking. So do something like that. And Epic came in here saying how Valve was a cheat and they're stealing from the devs, and their 30% split is too much. Really, Sweeney? Is that working out for you? Is it okay that you're giving them you're only taking 12%? How's that working out for you financially? Obviously it's not. This long rant is just a way to say that they've been pushing their money around and it did absolutely nothing for them, because the market is still in Valve's favor. Their exclusivity deals, the devs are hurting because they're losing out on the sales to everybody who doesn't want to support Epic Game Store. And hopefully Sweeney's given them enough money to keep them happy. Otherwise, the next time these people make games, they're just going to go right back to Valve.
All right. Alex, you want to make a comment about this?
I'm a little surprised with the success that Remedy does have and how, popular Alan Wake is, that they chose to go the route of exclusivity on Epic Games. I know that the cut is better, as Matt said, for them when they sell a copy, and obviously they have people who make these business decisions based on numbers that they get, analytics from the different platforms on PC. So I get it, but I'm kind of shooting in the dark here. But wouldn't it be better for them just to be like, no, we're going to go with Steam and Epic Store, and if you don't like that, we're just not going to publish on your store? Like I with how many people use Steam, you would make so much more money being on Steam as well. So I'm surprised that they went exclusive on one of the two platforms, especially being Epic, where the user base for Epic has to be much smaller than Steam. So yes, you're making more money, but how much money are you leaving on the table by not being on Steam? Because it seems like, granted, my case study is a little bit smaller. My sample pool is a little small, being Matt G and JT, but it seems like people don't like Epic and don't like the Epic Game Store. And as Matt said, or as the whole article said, they're still losing money this many years down the road, which means to me they're never going to be profitable, because it's just so hard to with the market share they have, try to wrest that away from, work within the same realm as the Goliath that is Steam and Valve. So, one, they're probably never going to be profitable from this arm, but I don't understand why Remedy wouldn't want to be on Steam as well. It would seem you would make more money overall by being on the biggest PC platform there is.
Let me jump right in there because you mentioned a good thing about their user base. Just looking up an article, Epic Game Store had 31.3 million daily active users as of their last note. That's just daily active users. How many individual people operate on their system on an average day? Steam had that concurrently running at the same time, which is astounding. And the fact that our servers can handle that type of activity. It's just, again, going back to, for all their money, they can't draw in the crowd that Steam has had and built up and earned the trust of for nearly 20 years.
And if you all remember, Epic just laid off people. So you have them laying people off. Granted, it's happening in a lot of places, but they're laying people off, and then you hear that their store is still not, making a profit, and you're kind of scratching your head. How with the engine, the Epic Games engine, that they license out to God knows how many studios, and with Fortnite making as much money as it has, like, how are you not like? I don't know. They, for all their success, like Matt seems, it seems like they also like to shoot themselves in the foot. And one of the biggest, weights around their necks, the anchors around their necks, is the Epic Game Store. So.
Yield, any comments?
No.
Okay. Moving on. This article is coming from Bloomberg and written by Rockstar plans to announce much anticipated Grand Theft Auto 6. Wow, expected a response from Matt there. Jason Schreier wrote this. Breaking news, a day before Rockstar, Jason Schreier accurately reported that Rockstar would be announcing the release window for the trailer of the highly anticipated GTA 6. Yes, Matt, I did read it. I know I was going to skip it, but I read it for you.
I didn't have to make a comment. My comment was there.
The trailer is planned to release in December, and the game is reportedly set in a fictional version of Miami featuring 2 protagonists. A lot of people are anticipating that this is going to be announced actually during the Game Awards.
Well, considering they said early December, yeah.
Well, it could be at the day after the Game Awards, but
Why?
well, I mean, traditionally,
all your press will be at this charade that they call a video game award show.
Yes, but Rockstar has they've been anti-convention award show type things. They always do their own thing. They don't really get involved in all the game shows and stuff like that.
Maybe they'll do it before it then. Just try to steal the thunder of what is the Game Award show.
All right. But your thoughts on Grand Theft Auto 6, Yield?
As long as it's in Miami, I'm happy. Not necessarily thrilled with 2 protagonists because I feel they've been there and done that. And
You didn't like that in 5?
It was okay for what it was, but bouncing around it gets old.
Okay.
You're just starting to get into this character. Oh, now we're going to go over this character. Okay, now I'm getting into this character. Now we're going to go back to this character. And it's just it's an interesting concept, but I have yet to find anything where I feel like, oh wow, that was done really well. I just
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, I did like the switch of the characters, but I can see why people don't. You, Alex, your thoughts on Grand Theft Auto 6?
Seemingly somewhat of a spiritual successor to, I know we're going in numerical order here, but Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Probably going to have a lot of that flavor in this game.
Best GTA ever.
Which I do like. I mean, who knows if it's very... I don't know what era it's going to be set in. They just said Miami, so it could just be Miami of the present day. But like with Assassin's Creed in Egypt, I said, hey, bring me to Egypt and I'll come back to Assassin's Creed. And I did. If you go back to the 80s in Miami for Grand Theft Auto, who knows? Maybe that's the next Grand Theft Auto game I play. But, Honestly, I have stepped away from Grand Theft Auto and been happy with that decision, for a while now. So
You're
outside
not
of that,
missing anything.
outside of that one specific scenario, 80s Miami, all the neon lights, I just don't care. Like I understand it is what it is. It's a juggernaut, makes them a ton of money. It's a beast, but I don't know. I had my fun with Grand Theft Auto, and I don't know what more fun I could have with it than I had back on the PlayStation 2, to be perfectly honest with you.
All right, Matt, your thoughts?
I,
Sorry.
Well, no, not to interrupt or cut in front of Matt, but I'm going to.
What I'm going to.
I think, as being a fan of Grand Theft Auto since 3, that they need to get back to what makes it fun. In my opinion, whereas we've gotten real quotations here with it, and since we've done that, I haven't really finished any of the stories. I eventually went back and finished San Andreas because I'd heard about the ending and wanted to see it. I never got to the end of 5.
Okay.
4 I did go back and finish it, and I enjoyed that. But while they're fun when you first start playing them, eventually I kind of just get bored with them. And I think a lot of that to me is I don't have the fun in it. Where you had, the older games, you had the vigilante missions, and you had the ambulance and the taxi and all this other just kind of stupid fun that you could do, and you don't have that anymore. You had I remember Grand Theft Auto 3 having the car list, and that was fun. It was something else you could do while you were working towards main missions, and you don't seem to have that now. It's all like real life, and I play games to get away from real life. So, just my opinion.
All right, Matt.
I can kind of see where Yield's coming from and having multiple protagonists, in the fact that, there's a way that Grand Theft Auto 3 can end that takes away some of your options. So it'd be interesting to see if they do the same thing here. I think Rockstar, though, will nail it out of the park again. They're just going to do what they do, and they make a masterful game. So we'll see what happens, but I'll watch the trailer when it drops. I watch Game Awards every year anyways, just to kind of see what's going on. So we'll see if that's it. If not, Rockstar is big enough that they can host their own event and show off the trailer, and everybody's going to take that trailer and analyze it. And within 2 hours, you're going to see all sorts of videos up on YouTube analyzing every little detail, because that's exactly what people did with the leaks that came out a couple months back.
So this is your first Game Awards as a member of the Trophy Wars podcast. I have Alex and Yield on record of how they feel about the Game Awards. Do you watch the Game Awards for the awards, or do you watch them just for the trailers?
I watch them for the trailers, because the awards, they mean absolutely nothing to me except for, seeing some people get recognized for their talent in voice acting or motion capture or technical prowess. But outside of that, hey, here's the award for the streamer of the year. Okay, anyway, here's the next trailer. Like, they have to pad it out with more awards than are actually necessary.
Yeah, some of these awards, like I get, like you want to recognize the esports people and stuff like that, because that is a part of gaming. It may not be an interest of us, but it is a part of gaming. I watch them for the trailers, and I always want to see like who wins the best PlayStation game, who wins Game of the Year. I know they just had the Golden Joystick Awards, I think it's called.
Yep.
And I was going to cover that, but I was like, I don't want to do that so close to the Game Awards. But we do expect all the Game Award nominations to be announced within the next week or two. So maybe next week we'll be giving you guys a detail of what's being nominated. I'm looking forward.
Oh, go ahead, sir.
I was going to say, I'm looking forward to 6, but I really don't have any like enthusiasm behind it. I'm like, 6 is going to come out. I'm going to play it, but like I'm not really too excited to play it. Maybe this trailer fixes that. I don't know, but like the Grand Theft Auto games, like 4 and 5, I was going to play them, but to me, it's like I'm going through the motions more than like, oh my god, I get to play another Grand Theft Auto. Alex, you were gonna say something.
Yeah, just a couple thoughts. I think that the best thing they could do for the Grand Theft Auto is instead of constantly, expanding the city, make it more dense and just hyper like focus on making everything you can do like very detailed. Because that's one of the things that kind of like drew me away from the series. I love Vice City, and then once you got to San Andreas, the game got too big. And I played 4, but I wasn't a huge fan of it. I mean, I say not a huge fan. I liked it, but I was also like, okay, my time with this series is over because there's just too much. For me, I want to see, and it's with all open world games, I want to see the sandbox compacted. Make it smaller and just make the detail in every square inch a lot better. Instead of trying to make just this massive open world game that, has a map the size of the entire world. Like I don't want to play in that. Make it still fun, but make it, more compacted and just, everything you can do in there. Like you can go in every building or something like that.
The rumor is they are going to expand. Like they are going to bring San Andreas into this. They're going to bring Miami into this. They're going to bring Liberty City into this. They're going to bring all 3 of the maps basically into the same thing that you can go in between the maps. But that
sounds fucking terrible. I'm sorry. That sounds absolutely fucking terrible.
I don't know if that's.
Granted, I know they have to make this game and have it last until Grand Theft Auto 7, which will come out in like 2042. So like they have to, I guess, give people that much room to play in because it's gonna have to tide them over for a while. But just with the online mode and the story, like, do you really need just this like 3 maps just mashed together like Frankenstein's monster? It's too much for me. But obviously, there's tons of people out there that still enjoy it. So, and as far as like where they're going to show this off, I mean, the Game Awards makes the most sense. Why would Rockstar run their own thing and pay money to set that up when they could just have it tagged in, have essentially the Game Awards probably pay them for the world premiere, release of the trailer. And all they got to do is give them the trailer, watch it roll, and then see the pre-orders come in. Like I don't know why Rockstar would do their own thing for any of their games. All their early sports games sell. Red Dead Redemption 3 would sell like crazy without, with just a trailer, released into the wild. They don't have to have their own like media brief or anything like that. They can just sell this shit, to allow other people to use it, and then that'll make them their money easily.
They could just put it together like a 30-minute for lack of term, PlayStation Direct or something like that. And
that's literally more effort than they need to do. All people really need to know is Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out, and people will go buy it. But just give it to the Game Awards. Let the Game Awards pay you to debut it, and then you don't have to put any extra work. If I'm Rockstar, why am I going to put all that effort into a 30-minute thing when I could just let somebody else make my money for me?
Because you could have your own space on the internet instead of having to share with other people.
You think Rockstar really cares about that?
Yes.
Why?
Because the same reason why they've never done a PlayStation, Microsoft, or Nintendo conference. They've always done their own thing. We never got a reveal of a Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead Redemption or anything like that at any of those shows. They always did their own thing.
When was the last time Rockstar? And I'm not trying to be a smartass. When was the last time Rockstar held a big event like that?
They didn't. They just released the trailer.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
And that's all. And that's all they need to do. They don't need to give. They don't need the Game Awards to give them clout. They already have the clout. So if they release a 30-minute type direct, their own thing, they're not sharing their space with anybody else.
I'm with Alex on this. They're either going to do it at the Game Awards or they're just going to drop a trailer on YouTube the next day.
Here's the thing. They're not sharing space with anybody because if they are revealed at something like the Game Awards, that's the main thing everyone's talking about. Everyone else is like smushed and compacted. It's like you're sitting in an airplane seat and there's a big guy in the middle and he's taking up both armrests and, you don't have much room on either side. The guy in the middle is GTA. Anybody else who has released, a trailer during that show is going to get, they'll get eyes, they'll get interest, but the talk of the town will be Grand Theft Auto regardless because, again, the game is evergreen. Sales are evergreen. Continues to sell. How many years later? It doesn't matter when they release or where they release the GTA trailer. It's going to be the main talking point of anything it's a part of.
I mean, I guess we'll see in the next week or two, or the next month or so. But I I honestly believe they're just going to do their own thing. They're not going to be part of the Game Awards. This is the way I feel. Like this is what they've always done. They've marched to their own beat of their own drum. This is what they're going to do. I'd like to see it at the Game Awards, but I don't think so. I think they want their own space on the internet for, however long, a day or whatever. And like Saber says in the chat, you put it on their own channel, they can monetize it, and they'll make millions of dollars off of the YouTube revenue, because that trailer is going to be watched like freaking 50 million times, if not more.
But it'll still be watched just as many times, even if you give it to the Game Awards. I don't understand what the negative aspect of showing it off at the Game Awards is.
You would have to ask Rockstar that. I don't have an answer for that, but I just know the way Rockstar's always rolled.
If I was Rockstar, I'd be like, hey, Jeff Keighley, Game Awards, we'll give you the debut, but you're going to pay us for it. Yeah.
And Keighley would pay for it because, as much as, the Game Awards get shit, they're not very profitable. So, speaking of not being profitable, let's go to, I'm sorry, Saber says, Hideo Kojima will have a trailer there like he always does. Coming from IGN, written by Rebecca Valentine, Ubisoft has laid off 124 employees to, quote, enhance collective efficiency, end quote. Ubisoft has laid off 124 individuals on November 7th in an effort to streamline operations and enhance the collective efficiency. This usually hints at the removal of redundant and or inefficient positions. Quote, these are not decisions taken lightly, and we are providing comprehensive support for our colleagues who will be leaving Ubisoft during this transition. We also want to share our utmost gratitude and respect for the many contributions to the company. This restructuring does not affect our production teams, end quote. This is not the first round of layoffs at Ubisoft this year, and recent earnings report included a quarterly net booking of $584.1 million, which is up 36.6% year over year. So even though they made a profit, they still laid off 124 people. Yield, I'll go to you first, sir.
I guess this is the year of the layoffs.
All right, our next article is about layoffs too, just so you know.
Okay, I'll probably have the same answer for that one. I mean, what else can you say? It's not just Sony, but a lot of the independents. I don't know what it was, but
Saber says
everybody's laying off. I mean, Ubisoft, maybe they shouldn't have put all their eggs in an Assassin's Creed basket. It's hard saying.
Saber says in the chat, translation, Skull and Bones has cost them way too much money in pre-productions, and they should just go ahead and take the loss. Matt's shaking his head yes.
I can't argue with that.
Matt's over there shaking his head yes. Go ahead, Matt.
It's Ubisoft has been exhibiting mismanagement for a while now, between the allegations, between mismanaging projects. Their two main projects outside of Division, Far Cry, and Assassin's Creed. You're looking at two massively delayed games that barely freaking God, what the hell? Now it's Alex, help me out. Beyond Good and Evil 2. There you go. See, Alex, you could help me.
I sent that telepathically, by the way.
just needed a moment. The way Ubisoft has just not done justice to their workforce and everything else that's going on. Again, like every other tech company, maybe they hired up, they plussed up during the pandemic. It was easy to get people. People could work from home, and now they're leveling out. It's just, again, goes to show that Ubisoft is a terrible place, terrible company. They need to do better by their people. Meanwhile, Tricky has gone on one of his infamous breaks. Alex, what do you think?
Sorry, I thought there for a second my internet shit the bed on me, and I wasn't hearing part of the conversation. I mean, obviously, there's not been a lot of positivity surrounding Ubisoft this year. I mean, sure, you get Assassin's Creed Mirage out. I'm sure there's some goodwill towards the Avatar game, given that, it was on a state of play, and it looked pretty good. Overall, though, I mean, I don't know. I get, big soulless tech companies, but I don't know how you fire people when, profitability isn't really thought for a second there that profitability was, I'd heard that profitability was not an issue. But net booking of up 36 year over year. I mean, it's shitty all around. I mean, 124 employees. I mean, they can say put together, use the magnets on the fridge to put together any kind of wording they want to, any kind of like corporate speak they want to. But surely these 124 people, with how much this company has struggled to get certain games out, I know you can't always move people like chess pieces. People don't live their lives like that. But you would hope that, these 124 employees, for a company that, is doing better than I thought we all thought they would, with legacy titles and stuff like that, you wouldn't have to lay these people off, that you would find something for them to do. I mean, I get that it's maybe just part of the industry to where they bring in people when they need them and then they fire them when they don't need them. And then they staff up for projects. And when the projects are done, the principal people involved or the main team that's not, there at Ubisoft, they get cut, get redundancies and whatnot. But I don't know. It just always feels really grimy and really dirty when something like this happens, where it's like, yeah, we just cut 124 people, like, operational efficiencies or streamlined is a word that people like to use a lot. I mean, these are people, and you're just cutting them because you want to make a slimmer, sleeker model for yourself to move around. And I mean, I get it. Yeah, these companies work with lots of money and they work on big projects, but surely these are more than just contractors. Contractors that, like I made a previous I talked about in a previous episode, they're under contract for a point of time. It's an agreement and they know when they're gone, but when you're just letting 124 employees go, it just feels fucking grimy, especially with how it seems that you have misused your funds or missed targets on certain games overall, and kind of focus so much on your most profitable brands instead of, working on innovation. So, I mean, Ubisoft has certainly not made themselves look great in my eyes, and probably not in a lot of people's eyes. It just feels gross to hear this. And you're looking at Ubisoft, it's like you probably could have kept these people on the payroll, but you just for some reason chose not to, because reasons. Money, number one reason. I don't know if that ramble made any sense, but yeah.
Hold on, just typing something back. As Saber says, Avatar should be good because the people who normally do Far Cry, if I'm correct, are the ones that did Avatar. No, the people, a massive studio, which is the ones behind the Division, they're behind both the Avatar and the Star Wars Outlaws games. So it's not the same people that made Far Cry. Going into the article, I want to see if it mentioned anything. It does say that 98 of the 124 were all based in Canada, so it was roughly 2% of the Canadian workforce. And as per Ubisoft, those laid off came from the business, administrative services, and IT teams, both across the hybrid VFX studio in Montreal and the global IT team. So it doesn't sound like developers were laid off. It sounds like people in the office were laid off.
I mean, we may see more of that you have to have people to make video games if you're a video game company. So you may see them slim down the development teams a little, but administrative offices and like marketing, that's probably where a lot of the hits are going to be taken if they're looking, because you can only thin out the herd. Well, that's a terrible way to say it. You can only get rid of so many developers. You have to have people to make games. So the cuts are going to have to come from somewhere else. But still, you have to run a business. You have to run a company. So you can't get...
Let's get into the other story about layoffs. I didn't mean to cut you off there, Alex, but Unity has announced layoffs despite increased revenues and reduced losses. This is coming from Sophie McAvoy over at GameIndustry.biz. Unity announced a 69% increase in revenue year over year and only posted a net loss of $125 million compared to last year's $250 million. That said, Unity announced layoffs as a result of a comprehensive assessment of its product portfolio at the beginning of its fourth quarter. Quote, the timing and full impact of these types of changes on our future results of operations, cash flows, and financial condition are uncertain, and for those reasons, we're currently unable to reasonably quantify the potential impacts through the fourth quarter of 2023. So I don't understand how you get a 69% increase in revenue, but you still lost 125 million. To me, those contradict themselves.
No, because your revenue goals are different from your profit goals. And you can still post a revenue and make more, but because of operating costs and other things that come up, you may still be operating at a loss, which the number here to focus on is that the company still lost 125 million in operating expenses over the year, or year over year. And last year they lost 250 million. So 100 or 375 million in losses over a 2-year period. It's not a successful operation. And now we kind of see why they were going to do what they were going to do until they had to pull it back for the engine markups that they were doing. So yeah, it sucks, but it seems like Unity is not in the greatest places now.
Yield, your thoughts?
Same as the other one.
All right, Alex.
You know, there is obviously now a reason John Riccatello and the brass at Unity made the decisions they did to try and squeeze more money out of developers. I mean, maybe there's something wrong with Unity's business model. Maybe they have, for some reason, lost some kind of prestige in the industry where people are, going with Epic or other studios for their engine, and just staying away from Unity. I don't know what the problem is, but I mean, clearly, the solution that they had is not doable, because that's only going to encourage fewer people to use your services, which any money you would have made by having extra fees is lost because you have fewer clients. But yeah, with how many layoffs have gone on this year, I don't know what is the answer, but part of me feels like these companies need to scale down their operations. And, video games they're big business, and it seems like a lot of these companies have too much money invested in making too many games. It's like always about pushing the profits, always, we're making more money. But a lot of these companies would probably benefit from scaling back a little bit. And I don't know for how many of them that's possible, but they keep running into these, financial issues and having to lay off staff. And somewhere along the way, the outlook for these companies and the financial planning, it has to make better sense. You can't keep finding yourself in these situations where, we put out these products, but it's a razor thin margin. And, if it doesn't, we got to shut down an entire studio if it doesn't meet expectations, or, our operations just aren't great, so we just have to cut people. It seems like more so than most industries, the video game industry is very kind of, I'm trying to find the right word. It seems like a very unsafe business industry to be in, because of how much money's involved and how risky a lot of the projects can be. And of course, it's hard to tell if it's always been this way with the cuts. I'm sure that there are people within the industry that can say for sure, but because of social media and people, just employees who've been terminated, going on to Twitter and saying, hey, this wasn't, really talked about, but, me and other people were laid off from, say, Insomniac or someplace. How much of this had we never heard of in the past because there wasn't as pervasive social media, which we have today? But yeah, I mean, it seems like it's more this year than just the normal ebb and flow of hiring in the video game industry. It seems like there are companies that have financial issues, and the only way that they can dig out of those is to just lower headcount. And like I said, with Ubisoft, which maybe is in a better situation than Unity, it just feels like someone at the top has failed the company when you see 124 people laid off, regardless of whether developers or in administrative. It seems like somewhere along the line, someone who gets paid a lot of money failed, and that's the result in people losing their jobs. So
Alright.
yeah, I'm sure we're all getting tired talking about this, but it seems like a lot of companies in the industry need to look at their financial strategies and their setup, and they need to rework things so that they're not just staffing up and firing, staffing up and firing. It can't just be the answer to just constantly cut headcount, to have multiple rounds of layoffs every year. That can't just be the solution. There's a problem there, and it's not just with one company. It's with a lot of companies.
All right. Moving on to our next topic here. Coming from Bloomberg and written by Jason Schreier. The new Call of Duty draws harsh reviews after rushed development. The latest iteration of the famed Call of Duty franchise was reportedly made in half the time of normal development, which has led to a spat of negative reviews. The first game since Microsoft closed its Activision deal, critics say the story feels rushed. I'm going to put a pause right there. I'm not putting this on Microsoft because this game was obviously in development long before this deal closed. So I'm not putting this on Microsoft there.
Well, you don't have to do that. No, I thought it'd be funny just to make a joke like, "Thanks, Microsoft, good job."
No.
Call of Duty 2. But no, realistically, this game was obviously in development before anyone at Microsoft laid their hands on Activision.
Well, to be fair, the whole deal was in the works for a long time, so Microsoft probably had some kind of like say in it, but I don't put this on Microsoft. Anyway, let me go.
No, but let's be real. Like, this was bound to happen because Activision was bound to put out a shitty Call of Duty at some point, because of how much money it makes. They're just like, we'll take half the time and we'll make just as much money, and then we'll put out another Call of Duty next year and people will still play it because that's the way people are.
Going on with the notes, reports indicate the process was rushed to fill the perceived gap in the release schedule following the delay of another Call of Duty title previously planned for 2023. However, Joanna Ferris, GM of Call of Duty, said in a Bloomberg TV interview that the claim is wholly inaccurate, but did not elaborate further. However, a number of anonymous Call of Duty developers said the original plan for the game was to potentially be an expansion instead of a full-fledged game. Recent reports indicate a single-player campaign is one of the shortest in the series, able to be completed in 3 to 4 hours. Yield, I'll go to you first, sir. Do you think this is a Microsoft thing, or is this just Activision trying to cash in on Call of Duty again?
Probably a little bit of both. I mean, it was in development before Microsoft took over, but I'm sure that they've had their say in it here and there. It's just sad we've gotten to this point in gaming that, yeah, I don't know. I'm flabbergasted. I don't know what to say.
All right, Alex?
With Call of Duty, this is the issue that arises when you try to get games out
Every year?
And sometimes multiple games a year. That, first of all, if they were trying to fill a gap with just a Call of Duty, like a Rush Call of Duty that was going to be an expansion, why would you in any way try to bring harm or damage the big perception of your golden goose, which is Call of Duty, which is the most valuable property that Activision owns? Well, maybe people might argue World of Warcraft. Maybe World of Warcraft is up there. But certainly on the console video game side. Now, Call of Duty, they may feel like they can release a mediocre Call of Duty story because, let's be real, people play the multiplayer more. That's where people really get their jollies off in Call of Duty.
Did they release a Call of Duty not too long ago that had no single-player campaign? It was multiplayer only?
That was one of the Black Ops.
Yeah, they released a Call of Duty recently that had no single-player at all. It was just straight multiplayer. Which I mean, now looking back, it was probably a test project to see if they could do the Warzone, but because Warzone is successful for them.
Yeah, I mean, I get that Call of Duty makes too much money for them to not release it every year. It's kind of like WWE Raw. WWE Raw would be a better show if it's 2 hours, but they get more money for doing 3 hours, so they're going to do 3 hours. Obviously, Call of Duty for them every year with what is expected of that company for their profit sheet. They probably feel like they have to do a Call of Duty because missing a Call of Duty in a year is like a death knell for their financial sheet. So they've caught themselves in the situation where they constantly have to put out a Call of Duty, and now we get to a spot where you rush a game to get one out the door, and it's a curse of having to release something every single year. And Insomniac used to do it with the Ratchet and Clank games, and they made it work. But we're talking much smaller games than these games are now, and much fewer considerations. I still didn't like the every year thing for Ratchet and Clank, but back on the PS2 days, it kind of worked, or you could at least pull it off. Now it's like every year's got to be Call of Duty, and the quality may be suspect. Whereas if you did every other year, you might have a better Call of Duty. Now I know that they have multiple studios working on Call of Duty. I think this one was Sledgehammer. They've also got Treyarch and other studios working on Call of Duty.
Infinity Ward. Yeah, that's the third one.
Yeah. So I mean, they have multiple studios working on this, and they kind of work on that they kind of rotate. So I guess that each studio has more time to make a game. But even if you just, I don't know, that goes to show you just how the lengths that they've had to go to keep this every year release schedule. Is they have 3 of their biggest studios dedicated to making this one series. So I guess they found themselves in a trap where they feel like they have to put out Call of Duty every single year because they need it for their financial, their books. But it certainly would do the actual, player base and the game itself better if it was an every other year release. You let people play the multiplayer for a year with no mainline release, and then you come out with one every other year. Even if you have multiple studios working on it, it just would be better overall for quality. But that's not where we are. We are where they are. Like Ubisoft, we have to fall back on our most profitable franchises, and we need Call of Duty every year because we need the money.
Fun fact, you brought up Raw. I watch Raw and SmackDown on Hulu. Both shows are 90 minutes long.
Well, they cut parts out.
On Hulu?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they cut out some matches.
Yeah.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
you're not seeing everything.
I
What,
thought
do you think they have an hour and a half of commercials?
I just thought it was always funny that it was like a 3-hour show is an hour and a half. I didn't know they cut out stuff.
Yeah, they cut out some of the lesser matches.
Why do they do that?
I don't know.
No, ask Vince.
Well, he's not part of it no more, so.
Not anymore, but he was when they cut stuff out. So.
Saber says, haven't bought this year's Call of Duty. I can tell you it's copy and paste the last year, and it's not even well reskinned. Way too short, by the way. Its campaign probably maybe 5 hours. Some of the maps are just way too big and multiplayer, and it feels like they stole maps from Ghost.
What it's become is this is the sports game of the shooter world.
That's a fair
This
assumption.
is the Madden of the shooter world.
That's a fair assumption.
And guess what? The problem is that people will still fucking buy it. And that's not to say anything negative to Saber. If you want to buy it and you want to play it, that's fine. But obviously there is a problem with Call of Duty in that Activision is going to put one out every year, and whether or not the quality is there is always going to be a question.
All right. Anybody else have any more comments?
Matt? I don't think you talked.
No, but there wasn't much more I could add to it. All I could say is this is not the first time that there's been an issue with a Call of Duty in quality or length. And frankly, if people are just now waking up to it, you're at fault for this, for buying the same game every year.
I mean, to be fair, you say, like Alex brought up, you can say the same thing about Madden. You can say the same thing about NBA 2K. You could say they don't do enough in between the years to justify selling it at full price. I've always said
wrestling games.
I've always said that. Well, see, so the WWE wrestling games, I would give a pass to because they can tell a different story as far as like franchise mode, something like that. A Madden game doesn't have a story unless you're doing like My Career mode, in which they have a story in there, which I honestly I don't know if they do or not because I haven't played Madden in a while.
Well, they have like some kind of like general manager mode or something like that, I'll bet. But I mean, you're telling
what they should do with those games is release a core game, and then I don't know, every 2 to 3 years release a new game, but in between sell the roster update for I don't know $10. Say okay,
Which is exactly what they should do. Just keep releasing wrestlers for WB. Release one every 2 years or every other year, and just release the extra content.
But see, the problem is like, okay, so AEW Fight Forever came out. Now CM Punk's no longer a part of that company. Now CM Punk's gonna be, if they just release the roster updates, you're gonna have CM Punk in their game, which they may or may not want CM Punk in their game anymore. Where now you come out with Fight Forever 2, CM Punk's no longer in that game.
You do realize Cody Rhodes is also in that game, right?
Yes, I know. But you get my point, is what I'm trying to say.
I mean, hell, they probably want to have CM Punk in there. They need all the help they can get selling that game.
That's probably true as well. All right, let's throw it across to our Facebook page and get some listener questions.
Time to check my social media, yeah.
All right, so we have a total of 7 questions, all coming from Facebook. If you want to get involved, go to facebook.com/TW group, and you can join the group. And every week, either myself or Veronica, mostly Veronica because she's the one that remembers, post for questions. First question coming from Thomas. How much does respect mean to you? Yield, will go to you first.
A lot. You get treated how you treat me. So if that's how, like I look at things like people's titles and stuff garner a certain amount of respect, and then from there it goes up or down depending on how you treat me or people in general. So it's not like it's a given because of the position you hold or the the aura or whatever that you have that you're automatically going to get said amount of respect.
Yeah, with respect, like, to me, respect is earned. Like, I'll give you a level of respect of who you are until you're no longer earning it. But to me, in order to get respect, you have to earn my respect. You don't get just respect just because of, who you are. You have to earn that respect, and to kind of top on what Yield said, like, treat me the way you want to be treated. If you treat me like shit, I'm going to treat you like shit. That's the way I've always been. Alex, how much does respect mean to you?
I'm more in the realm of, I don't know about I generally treat most people with respect. I work in a job that's very, public facing. I work in a grocery store, so I deal with the public all the time. And I do try to treat everybody with respect and be polite. And I'm one of those people that, you treat me with respect, you'll get the same back. But it's not just me personally, it's how you treat other people. The reason why I vote the way I do is because perceived respect towards other people and not just me. Like, if you're respectful to me, but you're shitty to somebody else, because of how they grew up or who they are or something like that, like, I don't have respect for you just because you respect me. It's about how you treat others as well. So if you're in general nice to me, but you're a hateful person, well, that's not going to do you very well with me because I'm not going to have any respect for you and I won't treat you with any respect. So it's not just me; it's how you treat other people as well. And Tricky, Tricky said it's. I kind of agree with Tricky, but more I'm in the lines of you earn my trust. That's a big thing for me. Is respect is something I try to be like. I will give to strangers even because in a day of going throughout my daily discourse, like, I'll meet a lot of strangers and I still try to be respectful of people. Whether it be driving on the roads or, working in a store. But trust is something that's more earned. Respect is easier to give out because it's just kind of something I feel like you should do with people. Because you may not think about it, but we are reliant on other people for our safety and just how our day go all the time, given how much we interact with other people and in the public. So I don't necessarily, I'm not like Tricky in that I think respect is earned, but I definitely think that trust for me is earned. But yeah, for me, respect is not just how you treat me, but how you treat other people.
All right, Matt?
I'm in the same camp as Alex because, there's certain people that get ragged on day in, day out. And, if You always hear about those stories, whether true or not. Somebody's going to interview for a job, and they may not get it because the interviewers ask the security guards, the janitorial staff, the people that they actually interact with on a daily basis, how this person was outside of the perfect picture that they paint in the interview. So it means a lot to me that you give everybody a chance until that chance is no longer valid. And myself, I think everybody can say that they enjoy a certain amount of respect given to them just in passing, and when you earn even more, it's better. But honestly, it's Alex, how you treat other people matters greatly.
All right. Next question also comes from Thomas. What game gets you pumped to go to the gym and work out? We'll start with Matt.
Like my wife on VR, Supernatural, because it is a natural workout game.
All right. Alex?
Usually if a game gets me pumped or I'm like excited about a game, I'm excited to play more of that game and not go to the gym. So I can't really think of a game that would make me, want to go to the gym. Closest thing would probably be Punch-Out, knocking out some boxers and, moving up the ranks. That, that might have some effect, but really more of a motivator for me is music. So.
All right. Yield?
I am not a gym person.
Neither am I.
The only aspect, the only time that you can get me to work out would be when I was in sports. And even then, I didn't like going. The few times that we had to work out and lift weights, I don't find that fun.
Yeah, I'm not a gym guy, but I will say that Beat Saber gets your heart racing. I like playing some Beat Saber. I don't think there's a time I played Beat Saber where I didn't come off that headset sweating my ass off. So,
Wow.
Why, wow?
No, just never thought you'd hear those combination of words in a sentence.
Sweating my ass off? You never heard that phrase before?
No, I have. Never mind.
Okay. Next,
Carry on.
Next question from Thomas. What is your favorite video game music to run to? Mine would be the Zone of the Enders. I guess this is a combination of the last question. But if you guys run, what video game music do you listen to?
I don't think I've listened to any video game music when I've gone running. Usually I just listen to metal or hardcore.
The only time that I enjoy running, not that it's enjoyable, is when I'm playing sports. To me, running just to run was not fun.
No, it's not fun at all. Alex, you have an answer, Alex?
I specifically hate running at the gym because I hate running in place on a treadmill. I can't stand that. But yeah, I'm not big on running. I love walking. We have dogs, so obviously going out with her for walks. She's not a runner. She, has short bursts of speed, but she's not a runner. But as far as something to get me pumped up, the Punch-Out theme, anything related to Punch-Out, pull that card out again. But the main title theme that gets you going a little bit to go for a run. Honestly, I listen to a lot of video game music, or there's a lot of video game music I hold in high regard, but nothing that really, I go out and run to aside from, something sporty and upbeat like Punch-Out.
I don't run because run's not fun. But I will say that when I used to play hockey, because I played goalie, I used to listen to Metallica's And Justice for All album and earbuds as I was playing goalie in the third period. It was like my superstition, so to speak. So,
what you all don't know, fun fact, is that on the Mighty Ducks, Tricky was the third goalie behind Julie the Cat Gaffney and Goldberg. He just never got to play.
That's true. Very true. Okay, so this
how many people will believe
that? Nobody. This next question I think is a thinking question because I still don't have an answer, and I saw this question earlier. Thomas wants to know if there are 3 games you could mix together, which would they be and why? His would be Tenchu, Nightshade, and Splinter Cell. So I'm going to give you guys a second to think. I'm going to vamp here a second. 3 games you could mix together. What would they be and why? Matt, you have an answer?
This is a tough one because so one of the games that came out a couple of years ago, somebody made a fan mod, was Mega Man Cross Street Fighter, where the robot bosses were the Street Fighters and you played as Mega Man. So add that, maybe some like an RPG element to it, like a Final Fantasy. That might be fun.
Okay. Yield, you ever any shade of an answer?
No, because 2 of my games were kind of similar. So
Yeah, I'm struggling to get an answer. Thomas, I'm not going to have an answer for you. I'm sorry. Alex, you...
I was thinking Red Dead Redemption.
Okay.
The game model of Red Dead Redemption.
Okay.
With the setting of Starhawk.
Okay.
But I need a 3rd game to go with it. Because I think space westerns are cool. So that's why I said Starhawk, but with more of a story like Red Dead. But I can't think of a 3rd game to put into it to make it feel complete. So I'm 2/3 of the way there. So you can move on now.
Oh, I've been ignoring the chat for a little bit. Let's catch up here. Tricky owns VR2 for PS5. Yes, I do. Zone of the Enders is techno music. He says that was a good game. I have that mod. I don't know. I guess that's something Matt was
Street
saying.
Fighter versus or Mega Man versus Street Fighter.
Then he says show the original Prey 2. I don't know. Alex, do you have an answer?
Well, PlayStation Move Heroes kind of did something like this, but I would like to see a more fully fleshed out game featuring the combination of Sly Cooper, Ratchet and Clank, and Jak and Daxter. I feel like a big coming together party for those 3 heroes, or those 3 groups of heroes, never really happened. Again, PlayStation Move Heroes was not what I'm looking for. So, so you do something like that involving a big adventure involving all 3 of those characters and using their strengths, I think would be, really a lot of fun. Even if it was just to focus on like Sly as the stealth guy and, Ratchet is like the tech guy, even though he also uses guns, and then like Jak is more like the brute brawler of the bunch. Kind of with Jak and Ratchet taking the place of Murray and Bentley in Sly's band. I don't know. Just something with those 3 characters would be a lot of fun. I also think that I got to thinking, I heard Street Fighter, and we've been talking some wrestling games. So, what would be really cool is if you had the Street Fighter roster as wrestlers in like a No Mercy style wrestling game. And then also you could throw in like, I know WD Crush Hour is the thing and it wasn't very good, but you could have like almost like a different mode where you could go to the back and you can get into like cars and play some kind of Twisted Metal game. But yeah, I don't know, something mixing wrestling and the Street Fighter roster, because I do really like the Street Fighter roster. A lot of fighting games have really good rosters, and I think that would fit well into a WB style game. But then maybe add some element of car combat in the back in the parking lot.
A little Rocket League.
No, not Rocket League, just like Twisted Metal. Again, they had WB Crush Hour, which was not a good game. But
Deck says your idea sounds pretty cool.
Okay. You just have to refine it. The Street Fighter and the wrestling thing kind of fits in there, but just trying to cram something else in there, without the car combat feeling like a mini game or just a side piece for the backstage area. Or you could do like some kind of time travel mechanic where you could wrestle in different areas of the world, like incorporate something like Turtles in Time or something like that, where you have a time travel mechanic and you could have wrestling rings in different eras while fighting Street Fighter characters, something like that.
All right, V says in the chat, take the story of Fatal Frame in the style of Ni no Kuni with the gameplay of Persona 5. Okay.
I haven't played any of those, so I can't be like, yeah.
Fatal Frame obviously is a horror game. Ni no Kuni I think is an RPG, and Persona 5 is an RPG as well. But I like Yield. I've never played any of those games. Which I did want to play Ni no Kuni once, but I just never got around to it.
I think that was more for Matt than any of the rest of us.
I know exactly what she'd want out of that, and it would be great.
Have you all discussed this before? Has this come up before? Is that why you know exactly what she's talking about?
No, but I know that those are 3 of her favorite games ever, so that's right up her alley.
And Saber agrees, and V says thank you. All right, I'm going to detract for a second because I want to ask a question of my own before we get into the last 3 here. As you guys know, I sent a picture of I bought 3 novels associated with the Division. With the 3 of you guys, have you ever been like you like a game so much that you decided to go read the novels to learn more lore about it?
I did that once with one of the Dead Space novels, but that's the only time.
Yield? You ever had an idea to do that?
Nope.
Usually for me, it's like I want to go buy the giant encyclopedia with all the art and illustrations in it. That's more my speed, rather than reading a novelization of it.
All right. Matt, your answer.
I mean, I have the 3 Hyrule Historia books because of The Legend of Zelda and all that stuff. So, I mean, it's obviously I've done that.
Saber says Halo and Mass Effect novel was not bad. Okay. All right. Next question is coming from Daryl. Daryl says, when will Roman retire? I guess he's assuming Roman Reigns. I heard a rumor that once he's done with this title run, he's done because his health can't keep up.
Well, I mean, I know he's beaten leukemia twice, but other than that, I don't know that he's had any serious health issues.
I think it's still leukemia is coming back. That's what I saw.
Well, let's hope not. I know that people are sick of Roman's reign, but when you really look at him and Paul Heyman together, they make a great combo. And again, you can say that you don't like Roman as champion. Like, I get it; it's kind of boring to have the same champion for fucking ever. But he is kind of like the centerpiece of the Bloodline storyline, which has reignited people's love of WWE. It's why they're red hot right now. So you can't really hate on him too much, to be honest with you.
All right, Yield.
I heard after Crown Jewel for the next pay-per-view, he's gone for 3 or 4 months.
He's not wrestling until January now.
Yeah.
Crown Jewel was his last
Crown Jewel was the last time this year.
There you go. That's what it was. My guess is he'll make it to WrestleMania, drop the title finally, and then we won't see him again.
Oh, he'll come back like John Cena has, but he may not be doing another extended run. This may be his last big run with the title, and then he's going to go off and do movies and spend time with the family. And
Saber says in the chat, if he wrestles 5 times a year, I'm assuming he's just going to keep doing what he does. I mean, I like the Bloodline storyline, which I know I'm in the minority of. But if Roman wrestled every month or on every TV show, it would take away from the story. Like, at this point, Roman's beaten everybody and anybody and everybody. You can't just have him going against the same people over and over and over again, because then it gets boring, and then there's no meaningful to his championship. I don't agree with him having the championship for 3 years, but the Bloodline was one of the best storylines to date.
For everyone who says that, Roman doesn't wrestle enough, on the other side of the street over at AEW, MJF used to wrestle a lot less, and now he's wrestling all the time, and people complain that it makes it feel too normal. So,
Dex says in the chat he hasn't beaten Punk. Well, he's never going to beat Punk because Punk is not going back to WWE.
Yeah, okay.
Punk is not going back to the WWE.
Dude, what is WWE all about? Money. They're all about money.
No, that's what Vince is about. Triple H is running it different. And I'm not even going to ask Matt because Matt
Okay.
doesn't care about wrestling.
Okay, yeah, Nick Khan is the president of WB. They're still all about money. Let's not lie.
All right, next question because we're getting a little long here. I didn't realize the time. Daryl says, which is better, Eurojank or Americajank? I don't even know the difference.
Eurojank, it just kind of works. Amerijank, it doesn't work at all.
We'll go with that. And the last question coming from V.
Amerijank is the dumber version of Eurojank.
V wants to know, is there a game for the holidays 2023 you're looking forward to, or is it just 2024 gaming year now? I'm pretty much shut down on any new games until 2024 at this point.
Yeah, Alan Wake 2 is the one I was looking forward to, and then after that, I may play Assassin's Creed Syndicate, but obviously not a new game. So,
And
Alan Wake 2 is the capper for me for the year.
Yield?
I don't know of any like new releases that I'm picking up. I'm just hoping that 25 is a better release year than 24.
Okay.
You mean 24 is a better release year than 23?
Or yeah, that I'm a year ahead of myself. Even hope 25 is better than 24 when we get to that
What
point.
crystal ball are you using?
I thought he was just looking at 24 as like, it doesn't come out next year either, so let's just hope 25 is better.
Well, at the rate we're going,
And Matt, you have an answer?
I've gotten all the gaming stuff I want for this year, so bring on 2024.
All right, let's move on to our topic of the week. This is coming from Video Games Chronicle and written by Andy Robinson. Sony has confirmed it's delayed half of its 12 planned live service games. SIE has previously said that it planned to release 12 live service titles in the market by its March 2026 fiscal ending. After a recent review by Sony over Bungie's Destiny portfolio, some projects have been scaled back. During an earnings call, COO and CFO Hiroki Tooki confirmed the review resulted in some games being pushed back due to quality concerns. Of the 12 titles, 6 will be released by fiscal year 2025. As of the 6 remaining titles, they're still working on release windows. Indicators are that the Last of Us multiplayer game, as well as the Horizon variant, are among the 12, but no clue as to which of the six titles those games fall under. Quote, the learnings from Bungie have been very substantial in many areas, said by Holst. Of course, when you're developing a live service titles, you require capabilities that you don't have when you're working on single-player narrative-driven games. And those capabilities that we've set up inside PlayStation Studios have been helped and guided by Bungie. We also more deeply understand that what success means in live services. Historically, our games have always worked towards an end, and this is a large cultural shift. The launch of a game is just the beginning, and it becomes with a whole set of different key performance indicators. All right, Yield, I know you've been vocal on this as well as the live service games, and Sony doing too much, so I'm going to give you the floor first.
no, I'm not going to be a Debbie Downer on this. I'm just going to say, told you so.
That's it? That's all you want to say?
That's all I want to say, because that's all I'm going to say.
All right, Alex, we'll go to you.
Well, I shared an article to the Facebook group where GameSpot said in a big headline that they had canceled the 6 games. And it turns out Matt got in our chat and said, if you go into the article, it actually says that
That was me, by the way.
Oh, that was you?
Yes.
That they just delayed them. So whoever wrote that headline for that picture fucked up real bad.
Okay,
because-
let me stop you there for a second, because if you look at the picture, it does say GameStop at the top, but on the bottom of it says via Video Games Chronicle, which was the article that I just read from, the one Matt posted. So I don't know who posted this, but they definitely took their information from the article where they said it was just delayed.
No, but the GameSpot picture said canceled.
It does say canceled.
They
Yes.
should have said delayed, not
Yes.
canceled, because those are obviously not the same thing.
Yeah. I'm just pointing out that, the picture did cite the Video Games Chronicle article, but
Yeah.
yes, they did put the wrong words up there.
Which I don't know how you do that, because again, that's a big fuck up. But anyway, yeah, I'm shocked that they have 12 live service games in development because I would think that, yeah, Sony has a good amount of studios, but some of those are just for porting to PC. Some of them are just helper studios. There's not like, with 12 live service games, like, how many of their studios are working on live service games, which, as we know, has not run super smoothly under Sony? As we've seen, 6 have been delayed. Half of the 12 planned ones have been delayed. I don't understand why, with Bungie and Destiny and then going to Marathon, why you don't take that as one of your live service games, because obviously that's worked well for Destiny, and Bungie knows how to do it. I don't know why you have to have 12 in the pipeline. Like, why you can't just have one and then maybe have fair games, do 2 or 3, or maybe just start out with 2 and see how the business model worked for you and learn, some lessons from that. But to jump in head fucking first, seemingly in the shallow end of the pool, by the way, and have 12 games planned and then delay, half of them. These things are not like at the drawing board. They're not things that are, ideas that are, in somewhat early stages. To delay something, I would figure it would have to be have a set, release date, or at least a window, and then you would have to be like, oh no, we have to push this back. You would have to have a substantial amount of work done on a project to delay the release date, I would think. So their jump to live service, I'm not offended by. It's fine, but to have 12 projects for the number of studios you have just seems kind of a bold move by Sony. And again, all feeds back into why I think Jim Ryan did not resign. He was told to resign because this whole plan revolves around him and what he wanted to do. I just think, going that heavy with live service when you've never done it before is a foolish move, and they should have asked me, apparently. Otherwise, they wouldn't be delaying 6 games.
All right, Matt.
There is a more so than usual drastic pushback against live service games recently because we've gotten some really shitty live service games by the way of Marvel's Avengers and some of the latest Destiny offerings. And with everything that happened at Bungie this week, there's a lot of complaints as to what's going to happen next. So as you can see, Sony kind of took a look at it and said, all right, maybe we need to delay some of these, put our focus back into where we need to be, because not for nothing, I know there's some stuff coming out, but look at what Nintendo did this year. They released a Mario, a Zelda, and a Pikmin. They kind of blew their load all in one year. So the question is, what's next? And Sony, I feel very much the same. There was a picture somebody shared. It said first-party Nintendo games released this year, and you had all those. First-party Sony games released this year, Spider-Man 2. So what is really coming up next for Sony that they need to delay 3 live service games and then make it about those 6 that are coming out? Because that's going to have to feed them for a while. Beyond that, going back to my earlier comment at the beginning of this podcast, I'm so sick of half-baked ideas designed to pump as much money out of the customer as possible. I think Alex was saying it earlier. Companies need to reduce operating costs, and the quickest way that they do that, and they know how to do that, is headcount. And then everybody that's left gets fed the crunch beat stick. And it's starting to piss me off that, we're still getting shitty games as a result. A Modern Warfare that is not that great at launch. Assassin's Creeds that seemed to have problems on launch, and they had to skip a year so that they could focus on quality. Spider-Man 2 even has had some weird bugs that I've come up across, and they were nowhere near as poorly operating as some other companies. But then we found out, Insomniac had some reduction in the months leading up to Spider-Man 2's release. It's okay to not make a blockbuster game and focus on smaller, more artistic transactions that you need to do in games. look at the success of a lot of indies, and a reason why many indies aren't successful is because they don't have the financial backing, so they have to do it on their own, and they don't have the advertising capabilities that these larger companies do. Maybe spend half as much on a Call of Duty advertisement, because you don't need to advertise Call of Duty. People are going to buy it. And I go back to my former statement. You keep buying crap and they're going to keep pumping it out. We've faced the same problem with Pokemon for the last couple of years. It's the games come out, the gameplay is great, but the graphics and smoothness have really suffered, and a lot of the story hasn't been the greatest. So, I'm part of the problem too. So maybe the next time I wait a little bit more before I buy into it, and that's where we need to start coming together as consumers and not just impulsively buy the crap that companies are pushing out on us.
I just looked up PlayStation Studios. PlayStation Studios has a total of 23 different studios. So over half of them were making live service games, you would assume. It's also worth noting, which I find weird. I'm going to have to do some more research into this. Bungie is not listed under a PlayStation Studio.
I brought that up a few weeks ago.
I know.
Or last week.
It's weird.
It is weird. And it's why I've called everything. I want to know what the deal between them actually is. I want more insight into that, because even if they're autonomous, you'd still figure they're part of the PlayStation Studios family, so they'd be listed under there.
Yeah. So that means, all but 10 of their studios were making live service games. That's really weird that you would dedicate that many.
And hence why he doesn't have a job no more.
Yeah, again, that's look, you can have some live service games, but to have 12, even if you're working with other studios to get them done, like, that's just way too many, especially when you have no experience as a company doing live service.
Okay, so on top of that, you had all your major studios doing that.
Right, you had Naughty Dog doing one, you had Guerrilla doing one. You assume that Ben was doing one as well.
No, Ben got dumped doing help Naughty Dog do theirs.
That is true.
Because Ben wanted to do their Days Gone 2, and Sony's like, oh no, here, go help Naughty Dog do their game that is now on hiatus.
Well, okay, so the PlayStation Studios are Ben Studio, Blue Point, Fire Sprite, Fabric Games, Firewalk, Guerrilla, Haven, Housemarque, Insomniac, London Studio, Media Molecule, Naughty Dog, Nixon Software, Polyphony Digital, San Diego Studio, San Mateo Studio, Santa Monica Studio, Savage Game Studios, Sucker Punch, Team Asobi, Valkyrie, and XDev. So, those are the studios.
So it makes sense why there have been really no consistent launch in games this year, in my opinion.
And you have to assume that Insomniac is hard at work on making Wolverine now, if not more DLC for Spider-Man 2.
Well, Insomniac's the only Sony studio that doesn't seem to be, that was one of them that wasn't tied up.
And you have to assume Polyphony's working on the next Gran Turismo. I doubt that's going to be a live service game.
Didn't they get shit for their microtransactions in the last game?
I don't remember it was microtransactions. I remember they got shit, but I don't remember if it was for the microtransactions.
There was something slimy to do with how you could pay extra money.
And then San Diego Studio, they're the behind the show series. I don't know if you can consider it a sports game or games for service. So, Media Molecule, you have to assume they're probably making one.
Yeah, how did Dreams work out?
Yeah, but that wasn't really a let's sell DLC.
No, but, Little Big Planet, Dreams, the same thing.
Yeah. Dex says pay for cars with cash, I think, was the problem with Gran Turismo. So, microtransactions.
Yeah, but you're also not going to have... You're not going to have a studio like Housemarque doing a live service game.
You don't know that.
If they got all their studios making live service games, then they're idiots.
Well, there's 23 of them.
The head idiot got kicked out.
I just mentioned all 23 of them, and we know up until recently 12 were being made. Now, it is. You could argue and say that one studio is probably doing 2 of them, but that would be more idiotic.
Again, that is asinine.
That would be idiotic. So that means you only had 10 of your studios, arguably,
Working on new content.
Saber says, Dreams is awesome, dude. I love playing Dreams. It's one of my child's favorite games. I don't think Yield or me are saying Dreams is a bad game.
No.
I'm just saying, I could see them turning a game like Dreams into a games for service game.
And it wasn't hugely popular. So that's why I'm like, if Media Molecule's working on a live service game, don't necessarily think that's a wise decision.
Yep. Matt, you want to make any comments?
I said everything I need to on this topic.
All right, Alex, any final comments?
No, I'm flabbergasted that Sony would lean so heavily into it. Just be smarter. And for a company that seems to be smart with money, maybe put one foot in or one toe in, and then, ease your way in instead of just kind of throwing your face at a brick wall.
Well, didn't Andy say last week, it's like you do 12 of these and one is successful, you pay for the other 11 failures? Maybe they were just trying to find their one success, and they were saying
probably more of a generalization than anything. But we know how much money Sony spends on games, especially when they have The Last of Us or Horizon attached to the game name. So,
honestly, I think for this topic, you need a younger gamer to talk about.
What do you mean by younger game?
I mean somebody way younger than us.
Okay.
Because obviously this game's a service is not necessarily geared for us.
No, because adults don't have time to do this. It's all for kids getting money from their parents to be able to pay for their stuff.
Exactly. So walk with me, if you will.
We'll walk.
I play World of Warships. I played it pretty heavily for a year. This year kind of started dwindling off the second year. I think this is like the third year I've hardly played it.
Okay.
I kind of jump in for my bureaus. I ain't touched the game in over a month. Rocket League. If it wasn't for our Rocket League Thursdays, I'd have been done with Rocket League 2 years ago. Except for maybe playing when the guys got together. Let's play some 4-player Rocket League against each other or against the computer.
You could make the same argument for me, the Division, right? You would consider the Division a games for service, right?
I don't know. What was the dodgeball game? Knockout City. Once I got the platinum, I was done. So, for me, these live service games, one, I'm not your market anyway if I play it because I'm a tightwad. I'll spend a little bit of money here and there, and then after that, when I've had my fun, I'm out. I'm not going to keep coming back. I've never touched Fortnite. So that's what I'm saying.
But you also don't have any FOMO either. You're like, if I get it, I get it. If I don't get it, I don't get it.
Exactly.
So.
World of Warships. I dropped, it was free. I dropped, I think, $60 once to buy the Arizona, and I ain't dropped an ounce of money since. So it's just...
But the question, I'll ask you this, Yield. Do you have... I know you're a tightwad, and I know that your own words. I'm not just calling you out there.
No, you're exactly right. I'm a self-admitted tightwad.
Would you be in a tightwad? Is there stuff in World of Warships that you wanted, but you just said, you know what, I'm not going to buy it? Or do you look at the game and go, I'd like that, but I don't need it? What's your philosophy when you look at stuff like that?
There have been ships that I thought were cool. Like when they introduced aircraft carriers, they introduced a German aircraft carrier, which I know they never had aircraft carriers anyway, but they dropped that one. I thought, ooh, that looks cool. But I'm like, I don't play it enough to spend that money on it. So it looks cool.
And just for reference, how much was it? Do you remember?
So it was 20,000 doubloons. I kind of forget what that equates to. I think it may have been like $40
for just one ship.
Yeah, for just one ship.
That's
something like
but that's
that.
insane though.
Something in that range, but that's why the game's free. That's why they constantly have campaigns every month. That was another reason I got out of it. I did a couple of campaigns. To do the campaign, you have to play every day to make sure you get to the end of the campaign. But then that took away my time from all my other games. So games of service, like Matt said, it's not geared for the adults who have lives. And it's not necessarily geared for us gamers who play multiple games, because you have to devote so much of your time into that season. At least that's how I look at it. So that's why I'm not a fan of them. I might play them for a little bit, but once I've had my fill, I'm done.
See, I look at games of service in two ways. One, it's a way for them to constantly generate revenue over the game. And it's also a way for them not to have their game traded into GameStop, because people are going to want the game just to keep playing it. And if they keep releasing content for it, somebody's not going to trade their game into GameStop, because they're going to hold on to it. And if they hold on to it, then potentially they can make more money off of microtransactions and stuff like that to keep it going.
Oh, it is absolutely an avenue for companies to do that and to have a steady revenue stream. The problem is too many companies use that as a crutch and make the microtransactions predatory. And it's kind of like the comment we were talking about last week with the fatality. Microtransactions are supposed to be that micro. That's why they got the name. Spend $10, spend a seventh of what Mortal Kombat is for one very small aspect of the game, and people start calling it out as abusive, which it is. There's no reason why a fatality should cost $10. There's no reason horse armor should have been $5 back in the day. It's ridiculous that when you consider DLCs come out for $30 and it adds tens or hundreds of hours to a game, and then a third of that is something that you may get to show every once in a while because it's a holiday thing. It's the cost of these goods is out of hand, and companies need to turn back and go, maybe we should reduce the cost, and that way we can make it up in volume as opposed to overall margin.
All right, so I'll ask this question before I close out the show. As a group, would we rather see our games come out for $40? Like, let's use Mortal Kombat, for example. Let's just say we're all Mortal Kombat fans. We're all going to play Mortal Kombat. Would we rather Mortal Kombat come out for $40 and then the $10 fatality is more acceptable? Or is the fact that we're paying $70 make the $10 so egregious?
The $10 is egregious, because when you consider, again, the portion of the game that entails, a single fatality, I argue $10 should get you a number of fatalities, but it's ridiculous when you consider that and I go back to the example last time, MechWarrior Online had a $500 golden skin for the mechs. It freaking ridiculous that whales out there are funding this, making it successful.
Look at it this way: we used to get Mortal Kombat with all the characters and everything, in as part of the game that launched. You got all the fatalities, everything. Then they figured out they could sell us characters, and now they just sold us a fatality. Where does it end?
All right, Yield, you answer my question.
They'll give you the base game and then just start selling you individual. They'll just give you a game with a title, and then they'll sell you each part. They'll EA it. $5 to press start.
EA will sell you the new racing game, but you have to pay $10 to get the tires on the car.
Yeah.
All right.
And then a fee to enter the track.
See, I think this is all like these free-to-play games, these games for service. I think it comes down to mindset within the gamer, because I think when you don't buy a game, like in Yield's case, like World of Warships was free. and I'm not again, Yield. I'm not calling you out. I'm just using this for
that's fine.
example. When you get a game that's free, I think it's more acceptable to spend $10, $20 on a ship because you're like, I'm getting hours of entertainment. I didn't pay for this. $20 to play this game, that's more acceptable. I think.
Well, okay. So to agree with you, what you were saying, that's what it was when I bought doubloons, which I think I had to drop $60 because there wasn't a denomination to where I could get enough. I had to buy more doubloons than what I needed for the Arizona.
Okay.
Another tactic.
Yeah. So I paid $60 for doubloons so I could get the Arizona. I wanted that as being a World War II kind of military warship guy. I wanted that ship in my fleet.
Okay.
I spent $60 on that. I got the game for free. So in my mind, I concluded that I just now paid $60 for the game that I'm enjoying.
Right, which
So-
made it more acceptable to you.
It did, yes. Now, everything above that, I haven't. But I've also gotten a lot of doubloon ships because I do their doubloon bleaks, and like I said, I'm a tightwad. So, but you're right with what you're saying.
I just think it's more acceptable because I think if you tell somebody you got to pay $70 for the game and then you try to sell a microtransaction for $10, $20, $30, I think
it starts to get ridiculous.
yeah, you going well. Why wasn't this included in the first game? And before I let you go, Yield.
Look at Rocket League.
Well, before
Most of us got it for free.
see,
How much money have we dumped into Rocket League since then?
that's true. But see, like in Mortal Kombat's case, okay.
That's ridiculous.
Well, this
$10 for a fatality.
this is what irritates me is because before Mortal Kombat 1 was even released, we got an announcement about the 5 or 6 DLC characters that are coming in the first pack, which tells me they
Well,
intentionally
yeah.
held them back.
Nope.
So I'm not going to go so far to say like, okay, they just released Spider-Man 2. I'm not going to go far to say, like, listen, they don't have DLC plans ahead of time because obviously that's part of the game development and the marketing and stuff like that. But if they'd come out before Spider-Man 2 came out and said, okay, we're going to sell you a DLC pack that's going to give you, I don't know, the Sinister Six. And just for records, that's not a spoiler or anything. That makes me upset because it's like, okay, that could have been a part of the game, but you're intentionally holding it back just to make more money. And Mortal Kombat did that. They're like, the game's not released yet, but we have 6 DLC characters that you're going to have to pay, $20, $30, $40 for. That kind of stuff irritates me. But like God of War Ragnarok came out, there's never been talk of DLC, and now we're getting rumors that maybe we're getting DLC. But the first God of War 2018 never got DLC. The only thing we got was the New Game Plus. So, I think when it comes to DLC and microtransactions and stuff like that, you have to market it better. You can't come out and say, well, we have this and this is coming, because that tells me you could have put it in the game and you held it back just to make a few extra dollars. All right. Wrapping up the show because we're over 2 hours now. Let's do some shout-outs. Alex, we'll start with you, sir.
Give a shout out to the listeners, the fans, the fuel to the fire that is Trophy Horse. Sorry, I've got to cough. Our community, thank you all very much for your continued support of us. The show, it would be nothing without you also. Thank you for interacting with us, posting in the group, watching us stream, submitting questions like Daryl and
Thomas.
Oh, sorry.
And V.
TV.
And V.
And V, yeah, well, we thank V for 1,000 things. But yes, thank you to V as well. Everyone who makes up our community, you all are awesome. And it's the entire reason that we can say very proudly that we're soon to make it to episode 600. Give a shout out to Tricky and to Yield and to Matt for recording with me tonight. And lastly, give a shout out to my loving and awesome girlfriend, Ashley. I love you, hun. Yeah, that's going to wrap me up.
Thomas says he watches for Madicon.
Thank you, Thomas. I'm happy to help.
Well, thank God Maticon's here.
Oh, really? I mean,
Wouldn't it be hilarious if Maticon was Matt's like evil like alter ego and he did like all his crimes then as Maticon?
evil twin brother.
I'm playing the long game. Just waiting another couple years.
All right. Well, don't be long with your shout.
I enjoy the long game.
Don't be long with your shout outs, Matt.
Thank you to the community, especially Thomas, evidently. Thank you, Alex, Yield, Tricky. Thank you to the Channel 3 community for stopping by. Appreciate everybody. Come on over to Channel 3 and have some fun talking games.
Yield, your shout out, sir.
Shout out to everybody who was hanging out in the Twitch chat tonight. Shout out to Alex, Matt, and Tricky for recording this evening. Shout out to Nitro for his Deep Rock Galactic Platinum. Shout out to Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag and Nitro, Tricky, JT, and Homer for helping with the multiplayer. Shout out to Homer, who has a birthday this week. And shout out to Prepare to Die Your Scum, Homer, and the Brain 76 for our co-op Fridays. And as always, shout out to the Pimps and the Madams of the Whoredom. Thank you for interacting with us, listening to the show, playing games with us, all that good stuff. You guys are awesome.
And I want to give a shout out to all the listeners. Shout out to Matt, Alex, and Yield for showing up. We are 3 episodes away from episode 600. Be sure to send in your emails, voicemails, whatever, and so we can focus them on the show. Right now, the plan is I'm going to quiz my 3 co-hosts on their Sony knowledge. So I hope
This won't be very good.
well, I will tell you, if episode 5, did we do the top 25 list on 5 or 550?
I don't remember. It's been so long ago.
Well, if that frustrated you, this is probably going to frustrate you more. But
it didn't. That one didn't frustrate me.
Well, the results kind of frustrated you, I should say.
Oh well, yeah, because I never agree with mainstream anyway.
But if that frustrated you, this is probably going to frustrate you. But I have good news. I have prizes for you boys. So.
Well, I'm already claiming dead last, so yay.
I think this actually be good for you. I think you'll do very well.
All right, maybe I'll surprise myself.
But
my expectations are low, though. My bar is really low for this.
He got us He got us PlayStation Plus subscriptions.
No. But thank you, everybody, and until next week, happy trophy hunting.
He's upgrading us to premium.
Later. That's what I'm gonna say to PlayStation Plus. Later.
This is the way.
The theme song is Venus by the band Even off their album Zenith. Permission granted by the band and 12 Stone Records. You can find them on Facebook by going to www.facebook.com/evenphilippines.